And what's good, YouTube? It's Supreme J here. Now, really quick, I want to apologize for this ugly POV angle. I didn't realize that the camera was pointed a little bit too high. That's my bad. But also, I'm re-recording the audio for this video to give a better quality video. So today I'm going to discuss why I think that the F82 M4 is one of, if not the best, sports car daily drivers for under 50,000, and majority of them can be found for about 35 to 50,000 depending on year and spec. For context, this one is a 2015 M4, so there's no competition that year, so it's literally just, the M4. But it does have the executive package with like the extended leather, the Harman Kardon sound system, heads-up display, and then it also has the driver's assist package, which has those extra creature comforts when driving, such as like blind spot monitors, I believe, and the extra sensors and cameras and whatnot. And so basically, this is a fully loaded 2015 model, and it is also the oldest model that you can get. So for a 2015 through 2017, it doesn't have the updated headlights, tail lights, and it also doesn't have Apple CarPlay. But if you guys look on the screen, you guys notice this car has Apple CarPlay, and it also has a bigger screen than any of the M4s come with. So that is something that you can do. So I'm going to quickly touch on that. If you are in the market for an M4 and you're not sure which year to get, if you plan on heavily modifying the car, I would say just go with, the one of the more cheaper examples that you can find. So if it is a 2015, 16, I would just say go for that. Just make sure it's fully loaded, and just spend a couple $100 to add the bigger screen with Apple CarPlay. I think that's a better deal than spending a little bit more money on the newer model if you're going to modify the crap out of it anyways. That's just my opinion. That's my approach when I'm looking for a car. But if you want something pretty particular, like a 2020 M4 comp, then obviously just go for that. But yeah, so first off, let's talk about the interior of the car, right? Because from a daily driving perspective, an interior is important. And so this car features the heads-up display. It features obviously the screen, and if you have a 2018 and up Apple CarPlay, it features a nice speedometer setup. It has a little bit of a digital component to it, if you can see a little bit there on the centerpiece, but it also is that more traditional analog style cluster, which I do like though. The AC and the heater and everything, they work great for the car. It has heated seats, which is nice during the winter, of course. The Harman Kardon sound system sounds amazing. So when you don't just want to listen to the exhaust note, you can enjoy your music to a very high quality, which is good. The visibility in the cabin of the car is overall really good. The pillar, is a little bit restrictive, but obviously it's going to be on basically every car. No car is 100% visible. But I mean, compared to something like a Camaro, it's not bad at all. And I would definitely, say that it's probably one of the most visible cars that I've driven. And then to top that off with all of the, technology assistance packages on the car, like the blind spot monitor and the parking sensors and whatnot, you always feel really, safe and comfortable when you're, parking or backing up the car, which is obviously important for a car that you're going to be driving, every single day, taking out to areas that you may not be familiar with, etc. It also has that cool little feature where the mirror points down, so that way you don't curb your wheel or risk curbing your wheel. And so all those things, in my opinion, are absolutely great for the interior. The only thing that I would say is can be lackluster to some people would possibly be the gauge cluster. If you're one of those persons that likes the more digital dash gauge cluster, then this car probably isn't for you. But if you don't mind the more traditional analog setup, then that's one of the only little things that's a little bit lacking. The only other thing that I would have preferred is if it would have had AC seats as well. But I mean, I'll take the heated seats for sure. As far as the seats and the comfort go, I think that they're very comfortable. The longest I've driven the car is about 2 hours. And so in those 2 hours, for example, on my Corvette, I would start to hurt. But on this car, it's not that bad. They're power adjustable, and they have the lumbar settings and whatnot. So you can make your seat really, really comfortable to your liking, which is great. Same thing with the steering wheel. It has, the multi-point adjustments on it. So you can really get yourself set up to be very, very comfortable. Or when you want to go and have fun, it has the bucket style seats and all of that as well still. And then we're going to talk about, like the cabin noise. I don't think it's bad or anything like that. Now, when it comes to the power of the car, you're going to get 430 horsepower from the factory, which I think is more than enough. You're going to be able to utilize all of that on the street, and you're going to be able to have fun. But what makes the car great is that it has the adjustable settings. So it has adjustable throttle setting, which is going to be, from the efficient to the sport to sport plus. And then it also has the adjustable steering and the adjustable suspension, and that's on the base model. And so all of those features, it really lets you customize the car, and you're able to take the car from feeling super tame when you're just going on your little commute drive, and you're able to turn it up and have some real fun when you decide you want to, take a back road or hit a canyon or whatnot. And I think that that versatility of the car makes it so great, is that you're able to do both, and it almost feels like a completely different car. I mean, especially that sport, from efficient to sports plus, it feels extremely different. And you could also change how fast the shifter shifts, and that DCT, it feels very nice. The paddles, I don't really use the paddles. I use the shifter itself if I'm, in quote unquote manual mode. But the shifts feel very quick, the downshifts feel very quick. I don't really have any issues with that there. Obviously, the exterior styling of the car, it looks absolutely incredible. It is an M car, so it has those wider arches, and it just looks so much better than a 340 or a 440. Me personally, if I'm gonna get a BMW, I wouldn't get those. I would only get an M car. And so that brings you to a point, right? If you're in this, $35,000 to $50,000 price range, you can go and get a, 2021 M340 or M440. But the thing is, though, is that it's not going to be an M car. And maybe it'll be a more idealistic daily driver, but what makes this car so good, since it is an M car, and if you're someone that appreciates being able to take corners and whatnot, is that it's going to feel like a normal daily driving car, and then you change the settings on it, and it just, you awake the beast. And I think that that's something that's very nice about that car that it has. I mean, you can go from getting 30 miles per gallon on the freeway, cruising in efficient mode, to then, ripping the corners in the back roads. And that's what makes the car so fun. And I think that for a daily driver, you're going to be driving it every single day. It's easy to kind of get used to it. But since you're able to adjust those settings, you feel like you almost have, two cars. And so I think that that's a major selling point, for this car. And I mean, for example, my, 2018 Mustang GT Premium, it felt like the same car the entire time. Or even my, 2LT Corvette Stingray that was a non-Z51, it felt like a car the entire time. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a great, amazing car, and I love that car, but it did feel like the same exact thing every single time. This, I can keep it tame, and so I can kind of save that specialness, that, that thrill of the car for when I want to, so it doesn't get as boring as, something that you're not able to adjust all of those settings. And obviously that's not something that every car has. And so some notable comparisons that I would say, that you can also consider. Honestly, I think that there's one. I think that the 3.0 Supra, I think that is the closest thing, that's slightly under 50K that you might also want to consider. And to be quite honest with you, I would maybe take the Supra if you're someone that doesn't care about, not having any back seats. Like, I'll be honest, I personally do like only having 2 seats. And so when you're deciding on what car you want to pick, I think that the closest competition is going to be that Supra, but they are right at that $50,000 price range, and that's simply just, might not be for everybody. You can get pretty decent examples of these cars for like 40K. And so overall, I would say, though, once again, that within that $35,000 to $50,000 price range, I think that this is one of the best sports cars, that you can get. And compared to like V8s, and like I said, this is from a daily driving perspective. Compared to a V8 where you're going to eat up a lot more gas, and then compared to a 4-cylinder where you're going to really be missing out on a lot of power, I feel like definitely you want to stay in that six-cylinder range right there. And that's why I think that, like a Supra is probably your second best option. Maybe if you can find an M2 comp, that's another good option. If you prefer 4 doors, you can get an M3, of course, but that's almost the same thing. And then maybe you can get an RS5 if you like Audi more. I do think it has a better interior, but overall though, I would say though that, like I said, this car is one of the best without a doubt. And so with that being said, let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys have any other questions? As far as maintenance goes, I don't think that it's really anything too crazy. I mean, 2 rear tires are, like, $650, and alignment $100. But maintenance honestly isn't anything ridiculous. Obviously, the more major stuff will be, but that's just part of the game. That's just part of buying, a German car. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions in the comments. I think that I touched on everything that I would want to hear from a daily driving perspective. And with that being said, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Peace.